Great, amazing morning to you. Rise and shine up and at 'em. It's a phenomenal new Friday. It's a new day. So that means you have a whole 24 hours, 48 hours, that's one day, right? 24 hours to start anew. Do you remember that song, you should know. I'm Collette, by the way. You're officially tuned in to Coffee and Conversation with Collette. Let me do my curtsy. That's what I do to show you reverence, because I know that a lot of you are doing multi-things, multi-talented, faceted. You're multitasking on this morning, getting young people ready, getting yourself ready, getting your mind right, working to engage in the right type of energy to start the day, because folks will try to take you off of your square, and I know. I wanted to share that song. Remember that song, If We Could Start Anew? I wouldn't hesitate. I'd gladly take you back and turn the hands of fate. Tears on my pillow, pain in my heart, all from you. Well, not all that extra part. All that, that's not even a relevancy. I'm just talking about starting anew. It's a beautiful new day on WHPS TV 33, and whether it is Roku or Fire Stick or Facebook Live or however you're reaching us this morning, as I always say, it could be smoke signals, whatever. You want to make sure that you're a part of a conversation that matters. And I promise you on today that you're going to have just that. I got a special guest in the building, Deputy Chief. A lot of you have consistently heard him on the phone lines, but you will be able to see him live and in color on Memorex right here on Coffee and Conversation on this morning to talk about a platform and an idea and ideology that could change how we look to empower ourselves. And I believe it's a perfect complement and catalyst into what we discussed on yesterday. There were a lot of nuances on yesterday. Yesterday, a lot of us were looking at D-Day, what that looked like 75 years after the largest sea raid in Normandy, France, in which we participated in as America with our European allies to remove this Nazi regime. A lot of folks were engaged and engulfed in that remembrance. And then the rest of us were engaged in what it looked like from June the 6th, 1968, some 50 years after the assassination of Robert Kennedy. And so in thinking about how that looked, I asked us to address what truth sounds like. It's based off of a book by our own, Detroit's own, Michael Eric Dyson, in which he brings up a conversation of what race relations would look like as it pertained to speaking with Robert Kennedy, James Baldwin, and a host of African-American influencers at the time. And so he went on to pontificate on the notion that Kennedy thought that, he would convene with this group of influencers and they would be so excited and so elated and so happy to be able to say that he's done all this work towards civil rights and towards the opportunity for blacks to have fair rights and the equal rights and access as we should have as citizens of these United States. But that's not what he got. He got a different conversation that really caused him to look differently and have to really assess what's good, how you use power, how you maneuver. And so Michael Eric Dyson calls that, and some other issues of conversation, what does truth look like? And so we had that clip. And so I wanted to, it was just a part of that clip I wanted to finish on today, because we tuned out, stopped at the point when he talked about black intelligentsia. Brother Tyrone, great morning to you, because he always speaks about that, and that was perhaps our black intelligentsia was a downfall for what politics looks like for black folks, specifically in this region, in the Detroit metropolitan Detroit region. And maybe I'll piggyback a little bit off of Jack Riley in his book, and you all know, Jason Riley, why don't I call him Jack? Jason Riley, Wall Street Journal columnist, False Black Power, in which he gave a research perspective that all other ethnic groups use their collective voice to then move the political dial. But black folk took our collective power away and gave it all to politicians in the hopes that this policy would save us. And to this date, it has yet to save us, and we keep doing the same thing. We keep thinking that if you put a new candidate in, if it's my candidate this time, that it's going to change its political will. And so I asked us to juxtapose that to what is it looking like? If you keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result, I believe that that is called insanity. And so yet again, we're in this space, we keep saying, okay, no, not this time. No, this time it's going to be the candidate. No, this time, not the candidate before, but this candidate coming up. And I ask us to really look at what this is. It's not about the candidate. If you don't understand your power, if you don't understand how politics works, then you won't be successful. It just won't happen. But maybe that's to Dyson's point about intelligentsia, that no matter where you are, if you don't understand the system, if you can't critically think, if you can't read and analyze to be able to understand what motivates them to do what they do, and then figure out what your position is going to be within this great America, then maybe that's why we're at fault. And so a lot of us then poo-poo on those who have gone on to higher education to be able to critically think and analyze and then come back with some useful information that then says perhaps the way that you're doing it might not be as beneficial. I agree. The truth of the matter is I believe that you can have both. But in the mindset of where we are right now, I don't believe that our egos allow us to do that. And yes, I said it, egos. We're ego driven. I think that out of all, if you want to sit and put a level, a pecking order on sin, and start, if that is what you prescribe to, and thou shalt not kill, and thou shalt, I think ego should be number 1, 0 plus before you get to 1 ego. That is the biggest downfall, I believe, of man, is ego. And so many of us think that we have all the answers and that our way is the only way. And so then those who have a different perspective, we don't open up a platform for them. And I'm just suggesting that if we understood that it's about class and not color, because we'll take the Detroit, for example. There's several people who are living their best life in downtown Detroit right now. And the 7.2 and all of the new eateries and the restaurants and all of those things, not a problem. You haven't heard them complain. You haven't heard them say that, oh, this environment isn't for me. They're not welcome me down here. That's not an issue for them at all. Because they are under a different socioeconomic status in which they have a mindset that they can go anywhere. I can do anything. I can buy whatever I want. I can have the experiences that I want to have. And it's not a component of my skin color. And so maybe at the end of all of it, if we consistently keep relying on the color of our skin, it's going to consistently allow them to create levels of control for us. It's so different than what we saw right now with the trade and travel restrictions that now President Trump has put on Cuba. And that is because of Cuba's relationship with Venezuela. And so now you're trying to swell up the monies that are coming in from people who are fighting for the Cuban people, Cuba Libre, the educational classifications, and of course, for our political positioning, they're going to print that, oh, there's so many options, there's so many different ways that, yes, you can still travel. Truth be told, I was putting together a travel group to go in July. That's not so much. I'm not going to afford us the space of getting caught up in bureaucracy. Not right now. But it's not about what's really best for the people. That is one example. And of course, people of color, it is about if I can control what it is that has an influence on you, and that's what it looks like, and then it happens to have a negative impact, so be it. So I want us just to continue. It's just a few more minutes of the clip, and then, of course, the next person you'll see in the conversation that we'll begin to engage will be that with he's known as Deputy Chief Amos, and we'll share a platform. And of course you're invited to call in because there's a lot that we're going to discuss today on this amazing Friday. So let's go to the clip, enjoy, think. We'll be right back.
Never have really
talk about emo rap all the time, but you're right.
That's right. And that's why I was always, I know people, you know, I've been a fan of Drake. I'm teaching a class on Drake this fall.
Really?
Right, and that was
you
before
got a lot of
beef.
material right now.
Oh, no, but let me tell you something.
You're always ahead of the curve. You were doing that before this, though.
Oh, yeah.
Before
The
this.
biracial identity, the transnational blackness. You know, Negroes saying, wait, are you real? He's from Toronto.
What did
one
you
of
think
the
about the
major capitals.
blackface thing?
Huh?
What did you think about the blackface?
You know what? This is what I mean by college. Do y'all remember Spike Lee?
Bamboozled.
I mean, my God, what he's doing is signifying on the perilous limitations imposed upon black artists. So now I'm going to take the blackface to show you this is what they're reducing us to. The inability to articulate our own aesthetic independence. So yeah, but again, if you look at it, oh my God, he in blackface. He must be down with the man. It's Jim Crow. No, he's signifying on it. And if you understand the backdrop of studying what blackface has meant, what the cork has meant, what minstrelsy has
And
meant.
what black people putting on blackface means it's different from white folks putting on blackface.
Talk a bit about that.
Wasn't blackface on black people meaning they were cooning? Wasn't that part of the minstrel show?
Well, yeah.
Of course it was, but I think in its historical context, you know what I mean? Like, for example, we could say a lot of rappers are cooning.
100%.
Right.
Reinforcing all the negative
But
stereotypes.
there is
of
an
black people.
argument that those rappers are trying to make money or trying to make some kind of career. I think you have to make. Look, Hattie McDaniel said, "Look, you know, I made my career being a maid, right? Acting or performing a maid, performing a stereotype. But that was the only lane that was open to me. And I think for some blackface performers, that argument makes some sense. So it has to be in context. That doesn't excuse Drake, but it also doesn't excuse the people who are misinterpreting what Drake was trying to do. They were actually trying to make commentary about the limitations of black performance in the 21st century.
And he signified on the way in which it was appropriated by whiteness to reinforce the vulnerability of blackness and to signify that they could appropriate blackness and wear it. But as Greg Tate, the great critic, said, white people want to appropriate everything but the burden. They want everything except the suffering. They want everything except the hardship, right?
And so a lot of white rappers out
there. Look at it, Justin Timberlake. When you look at, Timberlake, you know, you appropriate blackness. But when it comes time to pay the price for that blackness, I ain't no black man, I just play one on TV. So you reach across the aisle to grab Janet Jackson's breast in its resting place. The nipple is exposed. Now, when the black titty was being in service of white society, it was celebrated. Ain't nobody had a problem with the exposed black breast when it was nurturing white civilization, when young kids were being suckled at the breasts of black women. But when the titty got a union, and when it went to work for itself, and when she asserted that I will use my breast to the degree that I want to as a feminist agent of my own destiny, all of a sudden it's a problem. You got institutionalized hoochies on the sideline called cheerleaders. You got Viagra commercials in the Super Bowl, but you mad at the black breast being exposed. So Justin Timberlake allowed her to go under the bus, never paid due recompense for that sin, and brought sexy back, and Janet Jackson barely is making it back 20 years later. That's the stakes.
Complexion playing around, please. Lord have mercy. Please pass the goddamn
We gotta go
complexion.
do some TV.
No,
man, I'm here.
Oh,
I ain't going nowhere.
I would-
I ain't going nowhere.
I would like for y'all to expound a little bit more on the blackface thing, because I think a lot of people don't know what it is, and I think it was out of context. We saw the picture. You got to explain that when you're a black man.
Well, wait,
biracial.
so just very quick abbreviated history lesson. I mean, blackface performance is the original pop cultural performance in America. Right, so literally the whole enterprise of popular performance in America is predicated and historicized through blackface.
Right.
Obviously, white folks put on blackface to sort of reify Jim Crow stereotypes, so it was a way that popular entertainment reinscribed the racial order of America. Black folks also did it in the same interest, but also in their own interest to try to survive and try to sort of navigate some of those things. There's no excuse, really, for anybody wearing blackface as a form of like a Halloween costume or as a form of trying to denigrate black folks in the 21st century. But if you think about Bamboozle, and I know Bamboozle is kind of an old reference, but folks should go see that. Folks should go see that to understand what was possibly being attempted in the Drake ad.
And he said, when Drake explained it, he said that. I'm trying to signify on the limits imposed arbitrarily against black artistry and the degree to which we have to be deferential to an inferior whiteness in order to make a living. That's what blackface was about. It was both an acknowledgement of limit and a protest against them at the same time.
I agree with that. My only critique was we haven't heard Drake really stand up for black issues since he's been on. So why did he care about black issues so much in 2007, but we haven't really heard him stand up for them since he's been on?
Well, that's a legitimate critique, and I'm sure Drake can engage that himself. But I think the expression of his own artistic difference. Here he is, a biracial boy from Toronto and in Memphis, already being challenged from the very beginning whether he's black enough or not. So forget representing black issues. His own black issue is, can I be recognized? Listen to his music when he says, oh my God, one of my white friends just said the N-word. And if somebody hears that, he said nigga. And if somebody hears that, what's going to be the consequences? That's a different perspective than Tupac. So what he's bringing to us is an understanding of biracial identity and the ways in which biracialism has both compromised to some people the authenticity and integrity of blackness, and on the other hand, that's right. And are you gonna love me now? That's what blackness is asking. Are you 50 Cent? Are you gonna love me now? 21 questions, not only for his woman standing by him and riding or die, but for a black person, whether or not they can stand up and be black because they're biracial. So he's dealing with that. He's dealing with transnational blackness. He's dealing with authentic diasporic blackness. That means blackness beyond the fact of New York. New York is cold, but it ain't Chicago. Chicago's cold, but it ain't Detroit. Detroit is cold, but it ain't Bahia. Bahia's cold, but it ain't Cuba. Cuba's cold, but it ain't and on and on and on.
Right.
So he's coming from an international perspective of blackness, being challenged by the fact that you're Jewish and black. Does that mean that you are really black? So Drake, by virtue of his very being, evinces arguments, conversations that need to be had that are going on. Again, if you come to a college room, again, you would have some understanding and context for blackface. Again, you say it ain't explained. LeBron James ain't explaining that what he's doing. Kobe Bryant wasn't explaining, this is the triangle. You got to look at it and understand it. And if you're curious enough, you got to interpret it. You got to dig deep. So I'm saying we just want everything given to us. I mean, I go to school. Look, I'm 59 years old. There's some stuff I'm just now learning about black people, because you got to keep reading, learning, growing. Don't expect everybody to hand something to you. And just because you don't understand it doesn't mean it's not understandable. You got to dig deep and think critically about the world in which you live. That's the Donald Trump approach. My God, I don't know what it is. He's so simplistic. He's reductionistic. He's a butthurt, brain-dead white bigot who is a bigot in chief and a racist in residence, who is amplifying the worst currents and instincts of this American populace. And I'm tired of the anti-intellectualism, and I stand up unapologetic and say, read a damn book. Don't just tweet. Don't get on Instagram. Don't go on your Facebook. Have a fast from social media and dig deep into intellectual resources. Read Toni Morrison or Bell Hooks. Read Farrah Jasmine Griffin or Salamisha Tillett. Read Brittany Cooper. Read James Braxton Peterson. Read Mark Lamont Hill. Read what Angela Rye is saying. Read your book. Read my man over here. Read both of those books about mental illness and vulnerability and about black privilege.
Thank you, sir.
But Drake still could step up to the plate a little bit. And I hope that this situation, I hope he doesn't take it too personally as an artist, right? Right. I hope he can step away from this situation and understand that the substance of his identity, all the things that Doc is breaking down, some of that stuff can come into the music. Like, he can afford to make music that's a little bit more substantive, that can address many of these issues in a way that I think is organic to his career without sacrificing anything.
And maybe he will, and I think he will, because I mean, I think he even has a song. I guess Pusha T said that he's talking about his son, and maybe that's part of it. Maybe that's part of Drake being a little more open and not just being the fluff party.
And look at other artists who have done that. I mean, people were talking about Beyonce. Look at Beyonce's evolution.
Right.
Look at Beyonce's unmitigated.
Grow into who they
let them become who they are. You got to challenge them. You got to provide the context for emergence, but you got to give them enough security within the culture. Again, I go back to the fact, if Drake is already making an argument against him because of his biracial identity as to whether or not he's black, he's dealing with a different level of both accusation and assault as well as opportunity. Right? Talk about light-skin privilege. It would be beautiful to talk about what it means to have yellow privilege. I know this from birth. My daddy was blue-black, darker than 1,000 midnights on a midnight swamp, right? And I saw how people mistreated him. That's just Negroes. I saw how people looked down on him like he was an ape. I saw how people looked down on him like he was not even human, like he's a simian. And then I saw how white people misjudged his character and assumed that he didn't possess an acute intelligence about the world. And I saw how I, with curly hair and light skin, got a kind of privilege, a presumption of intelligence that may not have been true. I hope it was. I hope I proved the fact that they had it right. But the point is, I can't just get there just by being presumed as a yellow Negro that I possess that. And my brother, darker skin, who has now been in prison for 29 years, was not presumed to have the same intelligence and humanity. So you're absolutely right. There are explicit politics, and then there are infra-politics. What does that mean? That means that they're subtle, that you don't necessarily hear them talked about, but they're going on at the same time. So Drake, I think, manifests some of the same kind of complicated stuff that's going on. When the people used to talk about Jay-Z, I said, Jay-Z is talking about it, but you got to listen to the lyrics, and you can't listen to the #1 entertainment song. You got to listen to the stuff behind the beat. Remember, he said back when Al Qaeda when the police was Al Qaeda to black men. I mean, from the very beginning, he's been talking politics, but he's been mixing it in with when the rim is in the system, ain't no telling when I love him, I diss him. Well, got that from Biggie. So the reality is that you can find a way to articulate your politics, and some politics are personal and existential. Some of them are in the public domain, and some of them are explicit, some of them are implicit. Look, Harry Belafonte, one of the greatest artists of the 20th century, with whom I'm going to have having a conversation soon. Harry Belafonte, right, in his own music, didn't necessarily express the politics that he expressed beyond the music. Because Paul Robeson told him, use your song to get the people to listen to you. And if the people listen to you, then you got a political message to deliver. Maybe this is now the evolution of Drake.
We're back. So thankful for the Breakfast Club and that amazing clip from our own Dr. Michael Eric Dyson and Dr. Peterson, addressing what the truth should sound like. And I wanted us to look at the last point that he made as you have to understand what your political evolution is. And so I'm so fortunate to be able to introduce, sitting right next to me, we have these great conversations out of his kindness and calling in on the line, but today he's in the building. Our own, and I asked before the hand, because I'm very sensitive to everyone's accomplishments and the like, if there was a vitae or something that I should read for him in his humble nature. He said, absolutely not. I'm just here. And so he's in the building with us, our own Deputy Chief, Reginald Amos. Great morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Collette.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
No problem.
Opportunity.
Absolutely. I want to open up our conversation because, Deputy Chief is always, he's very intentional. He's exact about what it matters to him. Of course, he might chime in a little bit with this or that, and that's fine. But he's been introducing an opportunity for the groups of us, the masses of us, if indeed we are not comfortable, if indeed this current system is not working for us as a governance, the individuals that are in place, I believe that he created an option and has opened up a platform to say, hey, we're over here and we should have a conversation. And so I thought, what better way to educate you about the opportunity is to have him in the building. I want to open up a quote from our own Michael Eric Dyson. He states, quote, Dr. King would have been deeply troubled by the persistence of inequality and pushed for the relief of the most vulnerable in our society. Inequality, relief for the vulnerable. And so we are here today, Deputy Chief.
Okay. Hey, like I said, Collette, thank you for the opportunity.
Yes.
And we have to get serious. We got to stop, as you said a couple years ago, processing ignorance.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's what I see here in our leadership, elected leadership in Detroit. I see it in the the leadership of the different organizations.
Yes.
Perfect example would be the City of Detroit retirees.
Okay.
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 You got over 10,000 retirees that was hit. Most of them are people of color that was hired during Honorable Mayor Coleman Young. 70, they came on between 75 and 77, the majority citywide. And those are the majority that was laid off.
Okay.
That was affected by this this contrived bankruptcy.
Okay.
And their leadership is ineffective to
Okay.
me.
Okay.
That's what I see. That's what a lot of the members of his organization see.
Mm-hmm.
He's ineffective. He's compromised.
Okay.
It's amazing how you don't hear him push for the retirees, okay, to make them whole.
Okay.
The city of Detroit, according to the mayor, according to the governor, 5 years balanced surplus.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Balanced
Stay there.
budget,
I want you all. Did you hear what he said? Now let's stay right there. That's all the conversations that I've heard. Now, no one's talking about coming off of the bankruptcy. Of course, we still have debt off of
Yes,
that.
yes.
But yes, we have all these surpluses.
Exactly.
All the surpluses, everyone. So that means you have an abundance. It's more than. It's over. It's overflow. And so no one, and that's across the board, right? Now, let's
across
be
the
fair
board.
in all this. So the mayor and the council.
The mayor, they're in terms of they're saying
Yes.
advocating the
Or,
surplus.
and not talking about how to make the retirees whole.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it's amazing. It's amazing that the Michigan Supreme Court ruled on Macomb County workers that their pensions and medical could be cut.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yes.
And that's why I say the workers today, they should pay attention to what's going on, because that's going to filter over
Yes.
to them in
Yes.
the future. But again, I'm hearing from those workers, and workers across the state and across this country, that everybody is saying that our retirees should be made whole.
Sure. So let's stay there for everyone, and you can call. We're taking calls, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can call in 313-868-0342 or 313-868-0351, 313-868-4336. So there are a couple things I want to interject, because that's what
Okay.
happens when we converse and I can see you face to face.
Yeah.
The verses on the
Yeah.
phone. So I want us to get to the political folks,
Okay.
but right now I want to stay with the citizens.
Right.
What is it? Why do you think our citizens are not as engaged as they should be with what makes them whole. To be able to say, guess what? I'm not whole. I'm not receiving the monies that I need. My health care expenses are ridiculous. How do I fix this? Is it just that we don't know what to do? Or we trust that governance is going to, at some point, balance it out?
Well, to me, they're in an old model. They're in an old paradigm.
Okay.
You know, a paradigm is habit.
Okay.
You know, and we have to change that paradigm. We got to change the status quo, the way of thinking,
Okay.
the way things are done
Okay.
that affect decisions.
Okay.
And really, for the past 40 to 50 years, citizens of Detroit have been lied to.
Okay.
Okay, not only by elected officials, but by clergy,
Okay.
by lawyers. We just seen where the city of Detroit, they came out and article came out, said that for the demolition legal fees,
Yes. Say it.
$500 million.
Say it.
Okay, and the city lawyer and the mayor said not one dime is coming from the general fund. The council president said the same thing.
Yes.
So now here you have
Yes.
you have elected leaders lying to the people,
Yes. And
and
say,
we pay their salaries.
we pay their salaries, and now we've run out of money, right, for
Right.
these demolition dollars. So we're saying that we can't get any more federal monies, and so what are we going to do? Put that potential expense on the backs of the citizens yet again.
Right. Float a bond.
Float the bond.
Right.
To be able to cover the blight. You all know we talked about that a couple of weeks ago. So okay.
And so I'm saying,
Wow.
well, hell, I mean, you don't float a bond for demolition because you done blew the money, right?
Right.
If you got this surplus, and first of all, he says, really, we don't have to do it because we have a surplus. But I'm going to the people, and it's amazing. He made that announcement. He's the mayor of a city that's 85% black,
Yes.
but he made that announcement in a predominantly white audience up
Yes.
in Mackinac,
Yes.
and then brought it to us.
Yes.
Okay, and this is insane. And like I say, hey, if you want to float a bond, talk about floating a bond that's going to make the retirees whole. That's what they did in Macomb County.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's white people.
That's
That's the way they operate.
I just needed us to just put it out there.
Right? Yeah,
Okay.
I'm a direct person.
Let's just put it out there, everyone.
No, that's the way white people handle business.
Yes.
Okay.
The business of government, and
That's
they're
right.
going to take care of their folks.
Absolutely.
And
They're saying, those same white people are saying, our people should be made whole. And again, to my knowledge,
Yeah.
I'm the only person in Detroit, outside of Detroit or whatever, advocating that they be made whole. Okay?
Everyone, that begins the dialogue. The lines are all lit.
Oh,
You
okay.
want to take some calls?
Absolutely.
Let's take some calls.
Absolutely.
Thanks for your patience. Great morning to you.
Good morning.
Caller, you there?
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Collette, and good morning, Deputy Chief.
Good morning.
Kim.
I just wanted to say that in this, I think 85% black Detroit, they've got us going in so many different directions, pulling us in so many different directions. And I just wanted to pass along some information that I learned about on another show. And I have said it before, and I'll say it again. Governor Whitmer is only Bill Schuette in a dress. That's all she is.
Okay.
I mean, because I'm serious about that, because she is part of Benton Harbor land grab. There's a land grab going on in Benton Harbor. They're closing the high school, and she is a part of that. And what they're proposing is that the Call 'em Out coalitions and other organizations within Detroit go down to city council, who is also giving away our rights and our
Money.
and our money and our gains. They're proposing that the Call 'em Out coalition, like I said, and other coalitions, go down to one of the of the council meeting.
Okay.
And I know we can't physically drag them out, but we got to let them know that this is not acceptable.
Okay.
This is not acceptable. This needs to stop. Like I said, they've got the 85% black Detroit pulled in so many different directions. I don't even know what else is going on. There has to be something else going on. But they've got us pulled in all these different directions. Not only are they not restoring the pensions, there's so much.
Okay.
It's exhausting, actually. It's really exhausting.
Okay.
To hear about and to deal with.
So stay there for a minute, Kim, because you make a really great point. Because, and I'm going to ask Deputy Chief to chime in on this as well. Is that our mindset that it's just too much for us? That we're just it's just too. No. I just hold on one second, Kim, because I want to ask Doctor. I'm making you a doctor.
Oh
now.
man.
Amen.
Thank you.
Deputy Chief, do you think that maybe the lack of engagement that you have seen out in the space of organizing is that folks have just been so overwhelmed that they just have stopped?
Yeah, they have been overwhelmed, and again, it's because of ineffective leadership.
Okay.
In the grassroots community, if you will,
Okay.
or the activists, and they haven't been told or shown how to prioritize.
Okay.
You know, sure, we got, say, 100 different issues, but we have to prioritize.
Okay.
You can't solve 100 issues at one time.
Okay.
You know, you make a matrix
Well,
and prioritize. That's
Okay.
what you do. That's the solution to that problem.
and
Okay.
I understand that very much. But like I said, they have us pulled in so many different directions. It's like, what do we do first? As a matter of fact, I talked to someone about reparations one day, and they were saying, well, you know, there's so much to do. We can't do everything.
Well, I'm glad that you brought that up
Well,
about
I mean,
reparations.
Yeah, you're right. But I mean, the thing is, we have to do everything. We
Yes.
cannot just say, "Oh, well, there's no reparations. We can't start with reparations." We have to stop what they're doing and continue on, because I mean, mark my words, there is more coming. There is
Sure.
more coming.
Sure.
We can't even concentrate on what's coming because we're trying to deal with what they're doing to us now.
Well, let me just say that,
Planned
and stay there for
years
1
and
second, Kim.
years in advance.
Okay, well, let me stay there for 1 second. I'm going to give a little pushback, because the truth is we can, if it goes back to our collective energies. If we have a plan and someone right now says, okay, in part of the plan, Deputy Chief, we're going to address local politics right now. You have someone else who's a part of the group that says, okay, now I'm talking about forecasting and looking at what legislation is going to look like in the future. I have someone else on the team that's going to focus on education. I have someone else on the team that's going to focus on housing. I have someone else. Do you get what I'm saying? The truth is we can, if we, again, I believe, remove egos, allow everyone to function in their level of expertise, and bring the information together to collectively come up with a plan. Our problem is, and you all don't have to agree with me, and I wish you would call and tell me that I'm wrong. We are not moving any further because of ego.
Eggshell ego.
That's what it is. And it's not ego that has proven to be beneficial for us. It's just ego because I don't have the title. And I'm going to stay there. Where are all the people that ran for office? You know, all the people in the last election cycle that lost?
Right.
And everyone that said, this is what I'm trying to do, and I want to be for the community, and I want to do all that. Everyone who did not win, they didn't win that titled position. Where are they?
That's a good point.
I just want to know. I mean, do you know where they are, Deputy Chief? Do you see them out on the trail talking about, I want to, here's my plan. Now, remember, you had a plan when you wanted people to elect you and select you for office, that you were going to address
Right.
these things. Did those ills and issues go away once you did not win the titled position? They didn't go away. They have become exacerbated. But where are the people at? Oh, but they'll start coming up now when election time comes.
Yeah, 6 months
Right.
before the primary.
6 months before the primary. Now you're going to see a whole groundswell of folks coming in talking about, I'm going to fight for this, I'm doing that. Are you, where are you? Where have you been?
Right. Let me just say
Sure.
very quickly, please. I don't have any ego. I don't have any ego. if someone needs me at one of their Call Them Out Coalition meeting or the deputy chief meeting, or to help track down these missing girls in these houses, which I think has already been proposed, I'm there. If I can be there, I will be there. I have no ego. So, I mean, I think Deputy Chief is having something coming up, and if he would announce it again, I would really love that.
Sure.
At a church, he's having something, and I think you're also having something, Collette, a meet and greet of Wakanda or whatever. I looked it up,
Yes.
I couldn't find a ticket, but in any
Yes.
case, I'm there if somebody needs me. I have no ego. I would love to see something resolved, at least one thing.
Okay.
At least one thing in the city of Detroit resolved.
Well, I'll tell you, for the Wakanda event, if you go on Facebook and go to Felicia, let me spell that for you, FALISCIA KNUCKLES. Felicia Knuckles. She's the Michigan representative for Wakanda. You will see the announcement and the Eventbrite information for that event that's on the 15th. And I'll tell you all right now, it's on the 15th. It's right here at WHPS starting at 12 noon. You just have to go to Eventbrite, or you can message me. If you message me in and just messenger to me and say, Collette, I want to come and I want to bring 3 people, I'll make sure
Right.
that you
I
are
was
registered.
going to do that. I just thought I would mention it.
Sure. So just go ahead, y'all
Let's do
message
that.
me. I'll make sure you're registered in. So I'm telling you right now, that event is on the 15th. It's 12 noon right here at the
Yes.
station. It's
Yes,
an
ma'am.
investment opportunity into the Wakanda brand for the cannabis industry. That's a whole different
Yes, ma'am.
conversation. And now I want Deputy Chief to announce his meeting.
Okay,
Yes,
thank
please.
you.
Right. So we're just going to give you all the information, and we're going to keep giving you the information. So yes, Deputy
Okay.
Chief.
Thank you, Collette.
Sure.
And I thank the caller for offering to help.
Yes.
Because, again, it's going to take all of us being engaged. We're having Detroiters United, LLC. I'm the president. We're having a call to action June 8th. That's Saturday at Historic King Solomon Baptist Church, 6100 14th Street
Okay.
at Ferry Park, from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. And why? The mayor and 8 council members, we consider them as ship of fools,
Okay.
We got to stop the stupidity and foolishness of the elected officials.
Okay.
We got to hold Detroit elected officials accountable. We have we have the solutions, and we know this model, that our solutions will work, because this model is not new.
Okay.
Detroit is 33 years behind, okay? In Erie, New York, this model worked. You had Erie, New York, had similar problems that we're faced with today, the issues that we're faced with today.
Okay.
Okay? They had 29 elected positions.
Okay.
The community, block club leaders, just ordinary citizens, clergy, lawyers, they got together, identified the issues. They identified 29 candidates.
Okay.
They put their financial resources together, and out of the 29 positions, they won 16. Now that's great. all
That's
right?
amazing. Absolutely.
Okay, now you got
Wonderful.
sitting Congress people today from New York, and they're saying anyone who have an ambition for elected office, if you do not interact, engage with this community group, you're a fool. Now, the name of that community group is what? Grassroots Incorporated.
Nice.
Grassroots Incorporated. And like I said, in Detroit, it's something amazing about Detroit Negroes.
Nice.
It's just that, I mean, you got, like we said, I call it eggshell ego.
Okay.
You want to kill the messenger.
Yes.
You don't read. You don't value education. Hey, and that's why you're in the condition you are today. Again, you look at the council president. Brenda Jones has been there 12 years on that council, longer than 12 years. Name 5 things that she's done for the people.
Well, we don't have to worry about that because we like her.
Yeah.
I mean, right.
Name 5 things Duggan's done for the people going on 3 terms.
Well, I like him,
Well,
and he's
I'm
di-
just saying-
and he's different, and he's different from that other mayor that you had, because the other mayor that you had and his buddy were taking money from the people. You all know I'm being funny, right?
Yeah,
But I'm
yeah.
saying, but those are the conversations that we've had.
Yeah.
Those are the conversations when we get into groups. We won't talk about the business of government. We won't talk about holding people accountable. We talk about if we like them or not. We talk about
or
their
have a
name,
birthday
if their
party.
name resonates, if you've had some
Or have a
legacy
birthday party.
with their name, if they came and gave you some chicken or a luncheon and they talked about what they were going to do for you, and that's all we know.
Okay, and so questions can be directed to me at Reginald Amos, 313-399-8290. Lori Parks, 313-492-6774.
Okay.
Kenny Candleman Holloway, 313-778-0979.
Okay.
And Raymond Stevens, 313-205-3297.
Okay, now everyone, those are direct numbers. We got another call. Thanks for your patience. Great morning to you. Oh, can you turn your phone down?
Okay, is that good?
Yes, we're here.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had to mute the television.
Okay.
Deputy Chief and Collette,
Yes.
good morning. Thank you both.
Good morning.
Good
As
morning.
I'm looking at this, I'm listening to this, not saying looking and listening, and I'm looking at the audience you're speaking about, and the people that you need to, that you want or you're aspiring to, trying to connect to. It's probably not me. Okay. I came up. My parents came up with Coleman Young, and I chimed in, and I fought as hard as I could in the same direction that they want. I know I'm giving excuses, but because right now I'm looking at my own children and my own family, and I said, they don't want to do the work, and I'm not criticizing them. I love them. They don't want it. They don't even know how. I failed them. Okay, that's an acknowledgement of me. But I do know I'm positive that there's an audience out there that when they really see it, because the people that you're talking about, the people in council and whatnot, actually I know my situation. I'm looking at them, and when they run out of money, whatever they want to do, when they run out of money, when they can't get the people that they think is going to pay for it, because you can't get this blood from a rock. I mean, rock from a blood from the people that's been here. They're done.
Okay.
I mean, they have no other means of manipulating money and whatever. And that's not the only thing. Hard work is money. Hard work is effort. Okay. I have to capitulate. I'm looking at them. I said, it's not worth my time to worry about. Even some of my own children, I have to give them. I cannot change your mind and get you in there. So I'm not the audience, although I'm listening.
So you know what? So stay right there. So stay right there for a minute, because I want Deputy Chief to talk about that.
Yeah.
What do you think about those comments?
I understand what he's saying.
Okay.
But that's the wrong attitude.
Okay.
You are the audience.
All right.
Okay. We're not only talking about you, me, Collette. We're talking about our future.
Okay.
What is our future? Our future is our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren.
Okay.
What we have in Detroit right now is a white carpetbag mayor, okay, that's going to walk out of here with a pocket full of our money.
Mm-hmm.
He giving money to all these developers. That money is our money.
Okay.
It's our tax-paying dollars, okay? Now, most of us, those tax incentives, they're for 30 years.
Yes, forever.
We're still paying for tax subsidies and incentives from Granholm's era. Okay?
Yes.
So most of us will be dead and gone in 30 years.
Yes.
What other nation or community that you know of in this world that put their future, again, their children, grandchildren, in harm's way?
Yeah.
What other nation put them in debt?
Yeah. You know what? Yeah. So, because you go in a couple different places.
I mean,
because I believe, and you all can agree or disagree, that's fine. I don't believe that we believe we can do better. I believe that we have a mindset that we are physically free, but we are still on a plantation. And the plantation has just changed what it looks like. And we are so crippled in our minds that we just feel that we just have to take whatever they give us.
I mean, in the last, ever since the announcement of this Chrysler deal, I've heard so much stupidity on the different shows from hosts, from callers. I mean, it's insane. I mean, how is it that a caller can call in and we're talking about what's happening today, and she jumps up and debate with a TV host about what happened in 86 BC.
Right.
This 2019.
Because folks, if you address what happens right now, that means they have to move right now. Let me say that right now. See, because we're real good at trying to talk about, if the history started at slavery or if we were around before then. All of that, we're here right now. And I get the historical perspective. I understand that. We can talk about that. But if you focus on right now, that means you have to have action for right now. You have to engage right now. And I believe that we use it as an excuse.
Yeah, and you have to work.
You got to do it. If you want something to change, you got to work.
Yeah.
Or maybe you just aren't disciplined enough to say, guess what? If, to Deputy Chief's point and to call it to your point, if not for me, my children, my great-grandchildren, because I would never want them to look back and say, Mama, Big Mama, why didn't you do such and such? Don't you all think about that? Do you think about that there will be a time when everyone is held accountable and that they will come to you and say, well, if you knew such and such was happening, why didn't you do that?
Exactly.
If you knew that they were going to do this and these monies were there and it was going to impact us, why didn't you try to save us? You know that's coming. You can think about different things that have happened in your life. Yeah. And you've gone back to your parents or your grandparents and said, well, Big Mama, if such and such would happen, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you all prepare for this? I mean, my niece's cousin, well, actually my niece's daughter, did that with her parents for college. Got accepted to NYU, $80,000 a year. She is a 4.0, 3.8 student, genius brain. But who can hit $80,000 a year? Even with financial aid, it was $40,000. She looked at her parents and said, well, I don't understand the problem. I don't understand why can't you pay $40,000 a year? You were supposed to prepare for me going to college. You knew I was going to college.
Yeah.
So why didn't you take that into consideration to make sure I had the best opportunity? So it's coming. That was just an example, but it's coming.
Yeah, everybody doesn't think like that.
And maybe
don't think like that.
And maybe to your point that they don't think.
I'm living it.
Okay.
My daughter is in college, and I stopped and I looked and I said, how much money do I need so she can secure? And there were in my family. When I asked my wife, I said, "Can we?" She did not want to do this. She said, "I want to get this now." And I'm not criticizing because they're my people.
Okay.
But when I looked at it and I said, as I'm looking now and I'm seeing who has the vision to look back and lead. Okay. And I know these people in the council don't have any vision and cannot lead.
And that's why we have to get them out.
Well, guess what? And what is the saying? For the lack of vision, the people will perish.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, if we are articulate enough to be able to say that, and we have consistent examples of where leadership has failed us, then we're perishing. And that's an immediacy that's happening right now. Everyone don't go anywhere. I see the cause. We're up against a break. We'll be right back. It's Friday. I have him in the building, our own Deputy Chief Reginald Amos, trying to give you some solutions to be able to move and help you navigate through this thing called America, and specifically right here in this region. And I just want to know, do you know what truth sounds like? We'll be right back.